Hey everybody, welcome to the Players Take episode 278. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined as always by my co-host, Montrell Rice. Montrell, how are you this week?
I'm actually doing well this week, despite all the odds. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm getting back into the swing of work. It's been an all right week. I've actually been able to get a lot done, so I feel
Yeah,
pretty
same.
good, but it is crazy.
Yeah,
There's a lot to do, but yeah, everything's all good. Trying to get back to the point where I need to get back into like a groove with gaming though. I've been in a weird place. Obviously I was on the trip for 2 weeks, and that I'll get into it when I get into what I've been playing. So but yeah, no, life's good. Life's pretty good. How's the how the classes going? You're nearing the end, aren't you?
no, I got a whole another month and a half to go.
Well, I guess
So
relative to how long you've been doing it, you're nearing the end.
yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. Last week I took a whole week off. Like
Yeah.
I was supposed to turn in an assignment and I didn't. I'm just like reaching burnout. So
Mm-hmm.
my wife was just like, take a week off. It's just 1 week of assignments. You'll be all fine. And I was like, all right, cool. So I
Yeah.
did that. And I mean, it helped. That's why I finished Stellar Blade and stuff like that. I finished, another game as well, Vanquish. And I actually
Ooh.
beat that twice, 2 or 3 times. But
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I just yeah, I don't know. It's very tough, like this certification thing, and I feel like it's trying to weed out people. That's what I feel like it's designed for. I don't feel like it's designed to teach you anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's designed to weed out people, and I don't like that. I think
Well,
that's
in what way? Like,
they and it's just me, but and then since I also work with you guys, and then I work where I work at now, um, I kind of know a little bit of how things work, and they teach you stuff from like the 90s in the early 2000s of how shit used to work, and then they try to teach you stuff like today, and I just don't feel like it works. And they throw tons of terminology at you, and they throw tons of scenarios at you, and they throw like there'd be like little sentences and stuff like that you have to remember, because that one little sentence or whatever will be like, say, like if I'm describing Coke to you, I'm like, Coke is, a cocoa based product or whatever, and blah 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 blah, and
mm-hmm.
it was made in whatever country, in this country, like that. The can is also red, and the letters are black and white,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, and sometimes the serial numbers at the end will be 231 for a state, for like Illinois or something like that, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, like that's like trivial information. And then you'll go on a test and you get like a ton of more information after that. And then you'll go on the chapter test. And some of the chapter tests are like almost direct emulations of what's going to be on the actual CCNA exam. So you'll go to the chapter test or chapter exam, and they'll be like, yeah, so which state was the serial number for in here? And but they'll also give you 50 other serial numbers for like Michigan, Illinois, San Antonio, Texas, and all other stuff like that. And you're like, bro, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck am I supposed to remember all that? It's crazy. Like, that's what they kind of do. It's just like little one-off sentences and stuff like that. And I personally think it's like the wrong way to teach people. And then but if you go to YouTube and stuff like that, right? And I follow a podcast of these IT guys and stuff like that, and they were talking about cybersecurity, and they're also talking about network security, because a huge portion of CCNA is just nothing but network security. Like, you're like a network security associate, and they were talking about how hard it is to find people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, maybe this is why no one wants to do this shit. Like, this shit is designed to weed people out instead of actually teaching them what to do, if that makes any sense. Like, and then you don't get into like commands and stuff until like the last module. So if it's like module 5 or chapter
Really?
5, you'll get like,
What?
you'll go learn the history of chapter 5. You'll learn like the little, this is why we do this in chapter 5, and then you'll learn the commands at the end of chapter 5. And I'm like, why not kind of weave it in and out? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And so that's how I had to teach myself. I had to like weave myself in and out. I would actually like, when I look at the title of chapter 5 or something like that, I'm just using this example. When I look at the title of chapter 5, I will actually go, you look at third party information like YouTube people who are explain it better, and then I'll go back and read the information so I'll have a better understanding of said information. And I just think that's a terrible way to learn. Like, I spent $200 on this. I shouldn't have to. And I'm doing online classes. Because the teacher doesn't have this particular CCNA 3. It's not, since it's in the summertime, she's not doing it in person. She's doing it online only, unfortunately, with recorded videos. If it was in the fall, then I can take it, but then I'll also have to take an additional class because they're adding 200 more questions to the CCNA exam after
Yeah.
August. But anyway, I feel like, and this is kind of scary for me, right? Because I don't know if this is the hardest exam or like all certifications are like this. Because I really want to get my Azure certification in Azure fundamentals and Azure server fundamentals as well. And it's kind of scary because I'm like, are all of them like this, or is just the CCNA exam just designed in a really, really redundant way? If that makes it's I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of certifications in technology. Obviously they have value, but what you're describing is exactly why I don't like them, because I don't feel like the companies that design these certifications, like, I don't think they're designing them in a way to actually teach anyone anything, like that
Yeah,
always feels the way it is. And they also do these like really I don't know, fucked up shit, like, with the fact that they expire, that your certification expires and you're like supposed to renew them. It's such a fucking dumb concept.
yes, I agree.
Because I have a certification in ITIL 4 Foundation, right? And I got that in 2019. And I remember when I got it, there was no expiration date on the certification if you passed the exam. And that was like one of the selling points that they were like, and this was from People Cert. They're a big certification company. And that was one of the selling points of the certification or whatever. Like, they were really pushing that, from what I remember. And I just recently like was in my email, my personal email, and it's like, your ITIL Foundation certification has expired. You need to renew. Renew now. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean renew? Like, like what? So it's like they just changed the rules of the game afterwards. It's just fucking, it's total bullshit, dude. I can't stand this shit. And I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about this. A lot of the way a lot of professionals look at it is like, they don't care if it's expired or not. If you've gotten it once, they just kind of, that's really all that matters
Yeah,
to them. But so I don't know. I find them annoying. The fact that you have to spend so much money to take the tests too, and then make the test super hard, which is, the test being super hard makes sense. It probably should be, if you're trying to really prove out if somebody's like kind of an expert in something, but it's also convenient when you're charging $400 per attempt, at the same time. So
yeah, and it's
it's
like,
like,
I don't even feel like I'm the expert at anything. I feel like I'm just barely scratching the surface of a lot of stuff.
mhm,
Um, Even though I've been doing networking for years,
yeah,
and like for network, for CCNP people, and then CCIE people, like I don't understand how the fuck they did this. Like, your brain has to be on a totally different level to do the CCIE, in my opinion. And that's probably why they get paid the biggest bucks, like 250 grand a year
yeah,
and all other stuff like that. Because I think those are the ones who actually design and architect the networks that are going to be used for like big corporations and
mhm,
stuff like that.
mhm,
Um, and I don't know. Um, it's just weird. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it without, and maybe I'm just, weak minded or whatever. I'm not really used to studying super hard. Even
yeah,
in school, I used to just pass, like, because I paid attention in class and I just passed, so I didn't really have to
yeah,
study. So I don't know. I think it's just a combination of that, and then I have ADHD, so it's just like all that stuff is like going crazy on me right now. So I really have to focus, boggle down, and focus up, and stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
All right. All right. Well, let's get into the show proper here. Hey, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube, and your favorite podcast app of choice. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter at The Player's Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, Montrell, let's start like we always do with what we've been playing. We both have very large lists of games.
yeah, but it's gonna be short for me.
Yeah, me too. No, it's
Yeah,
going to be short for me too, but
yeah.
I'll go ahead and go first this week. So I've been playing a bunch of stuff. While I was on my work trip, I was playing a lot of Wuthering Waves and Honkai Star Rail because it was the most convenient thing to do on my phone. I've continued playing those since I got back. I was kind of like trying to ease myself back into actually gaming a little bit, and I have actually uninstalled both of these games off my computer
Wait,
as
really?
of as of this afternoon. Yeah, I don't want to fall like dude, I was playing this game last night, and Honkai in particular. I was trying to get through the story, and I played probably 2 hours, and I felt like I was making good progress. And then I went and like looked online how much more story I had to go to catch up. And the patch I'm on, which is 2.2, is the story I'm on. The game's on 2.3 right now. Dude, it's like 8 hours of story quests, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, dude. Like, I was just I got so annoyed. I stopped playing the fucking game after that, and then today there's a whole YouTube scene with these games that I kind of get into when I'm playing them, and I was listening to them talk about the game, and the games, people are starting to sour on Honkai Star Rail. It's kind of interesting, because the latest character that they released is Firefly, and she's kind of a part of a new archetype they've been building up the last couple patches of break type characters, where when you break an enemy's weakness, that like pushes their turn back, and an effect will happen depending on the element you broke them with. But it also does significant damage to the enemy as well, the break damage. And these characters exploit that weakness. So when they break them, they do way more damage than a normal character would. That's kind of the whole build idea for them. And this character in particular is came out and is basically the best damage dealer in the game, by like a mile. And they did this with the a couple patches ago. There was a character named Acheron who was she was the best damage dealer when she came out. So people feel like we're in this phase with this game where it's now every patch the best damage dealer is going to come out every single patch. It's like the game's not really balanced anymore. Like they've kind of broken the balance of the game, and the early game characters from when the game first came out are no longer really viable anymore. Like they like suck now. Like they're not. They just straight up don't do enough damage compared to these newer characters, and the game modes are starting to reflect that imbalance as well. So all of that kind of got me to the point where I'm like why am I playing this game? I don't even want to do the story right now. I'm just like, so usually when I quit this game, though, I just quit it. I've never uninstalled it. I've just left it on my computer, which has inevitably gotten me to play it again at some point. And this time I'm just kind of like, you know what, fuck it, just get the game off my PC. I deleted it off my phone too, so I don't even want to like turn it on or anything like that. And the same thing with Wuthering Waves. That game, unfortunately, like the game is fun when I play it. I enjoy myself, but the problem with it is that it was touted as, way back, it was touted as a game that was supposed to be the hard version of Genshin Impact, and it's just not that. The game's just not. It's not difficult like that. There are some bosses in the game that are challenging, but they're one-offs. Like you only do them once for rewards, and that's the end of it. And then the rest of the modes aren't really that hard so far. So to me, and eventually this game is going to fall into the same cadence where it's going to go into power creep mode. I feel like where it may not be now, it could be a year from now or a year and a half from now, but it's like why even play the game if you're going to eventually get into this point where everything you've done gets invalidated by new characters coming out. All these gotcha games just fall into the same trap ultimately, and it's just not a fun thing to do with these games. So I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna delete them. I got rid of them both. Final Fantasy 14's expansion, it comes out I think tomorrow, so I'm actually thinking about jumping into that. Because I've been thinking of, that game's always kind of in the back of my mind, wanting to play it. So yeah, that's coming. And I was just, all the combination of all these things, I just decided to get rid of these games. So I'm gonna be done with those. I think I'm gonna actually get back into the cadence of games I was playing, like Songs of Conquest and V Rising. I haven't actually played that yet, but I do want to play that game as well. And then with Elden Ring's DLC coming out too, I've been kind of teetering back and forth on maybe actually playing that game as well. So with all those things going on, I'm out on these two games. Outside of that, I've been playing more Against the Storm. Not very much, maybe a few hours, like 2 or 3 hours maybe of this game, but I'm excited to continue because I think I kind of, that wall I was hitting, I think I know I just need to keep playing. I haven't played long enough to be doing the difficulty I was attempting, so I'm gonna keep going through the game. Also been playing League with you guys. We played pretty much every day over the weekend, right? I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes,
Yeah, and then we
did.
played Tuesday as well. Had a good time with you guys on this, actually. Like League's except Sunday was a little frustrating. That was a frustrating night, but when we got on Tuesday, had some fun there. There was one game, the last game we played in particular was really fun.
Yes, my
But
1-in-17 contest.
yeah, it was a really good game though. It's like you were 1-17, but you ended up contributing a lot to our victory. Like we would have lost, I think, if you were not in the game. Like if you were a rando.
Yeah,
So all that to say that I actually think League's in a kind of a good spot right now, dude. Like I don't feel like the game is horribly imbalanced or a lot of the characters we typically kind of bitch and moan about aren't even really in the meta right now, it feels like. Not seeing a lot of Jaxes or Nasus or fucking Dr. Mundo or characters like that. So game feels pretty good. I feel like the items are in a good spot as well. There don't seem to be any items that are particularly like crazy or anything like that. I don't know. I just feel like the game's in a good spot. But I mean, what do you think? You've been playing a lot more than me, so.
Yeah and no. So as far as balancing wise and everything like that, I do feel like the game's in a good spot. And everything of that nature. I feel like ADCs actually have a role now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm playing with you guys, I don't have to really worry. I wish we can go into ranked with 3 people. Because
we can.
We can with 3
Yeah,
people.
It puts us in flex, but yes, we can.
Okay.
Parties of 4 are the only ones that are disabled, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because that's the no part. So the yes part is the game is very balanced right now, and I'm actually loving how balanced it is. I feel like when I get stomped in lane, I kind of deserve it, and then when I stomp someone in lane, they kind of deserve it because I'm capitalizing off mistakes and stuff like that. And even the 1-in-17 game that I had up top, where I just kept constantly pushing, and y'all were like skirmishing in other parts of the map to where I can like actually take lanes and stuff like that.
Yep.
His 20-7 like Mordecai's being 20-7 didn't matter in the game. Good macro matters in the game. And then we also had you who was like blowing people up with one shot. So you're also
I was
really
able
powerful.
to kill Mordekaiser too. Even like normally I don't know if that was his build that was a problem or what, but usually with tanks like that, when I'm playing Jhin in particular, like it doesn't feel like I can beat them, but I could fight him 1v1,
Yeah.
like I was killing him in 5 or 6 shots,
Yeah.
So, which is, it's a lot in the middle of a fight,
But
but
that's what
you
I'm
know,
talking about. That's what an ADC is supposed to do. An ADC is
exactly.
supposed to be that attack damage carry, and you were
Right.
attack damage carry that game. And yeah, we won that game off just off pure macro.
Yep.
And the ADC, which is you being super powerful. So but me and Jet have been playing ranked, and ranked is in a different state because I don't know if they know how to balance it as far as like what they're doing with like level 30 accounts and then just random people tilt super easily and they don't punish, which is another reason too why sometimes our normal games are bad, because those people who get tilted in rank, they get punished by saying, oh well, you have to complete 5 normal games to get back into rank. So people would just run it down in norms, like for
Mhm.
people like us who are trying to have a good time, and or they're try harding in norms and stuff like that, just to hurry up and get back in ranked. Whereas, like, we're trying new champions out and all the other shit like that. Um, but yeah, for us, for me and Jet, which is why in ranked, I don't play jungle anymore. I play either if I'm playing with Jet, I play my first role is going to be support, and then my secondary is going to be jungle. Now if I'm playing by myself, my roles is mid lane and jungle. But when I'm playing with Jet, Jet goes mid lane, and then I go either support or jungle, and he does super well, especially in low elo. He's like, if we get higher in rank, like if we go platinum, he's probably going to struggle a little bit because he still doesn't have like really good map awareness. Sometimes he gets too focused on CS.
Mhm.
But like I feel like from silver, from because he's in bronze and I'm in silver, so from bronze to gold 1 or gold 2 or whatever, he's going to have a really good time because people only want to focus on skirmishing, and even in rank, that's all they want to focus on is skirmishing. Like even if you try to go up the poke for CS, they're going to try to poke you or whatever the case may be. Whereas he is really good at CSing, like extremely good at CSing,
Mhm.
and he's patient, and it frustrates the fuck out of mid laners because they are used to just like, I want to fight, I want to fight. So I like him being in mid lane, and then for me, I can really carry almost any ADC. I can make them feel like they're on top of the world. Like whatever. I don't, because I
Yeah.
don't fucking care. Like I can make you feel like you're on top of the world. The problem with the reason why I go bot lane, I can't play ADC to save my fucking life. Like I can't focus on CSing. Like
Mhm.
it's a tough lane, so I don't really blame ADCs, but I also blame ADCs because sometimes if you main that role, you need to learn that role. And as a support, I can facilitate and watch for stuff while they are like, that's what the support's supposed to do. I'm supposed to be telling you like, hey, a gank is coming, this is coming, that's
Yeah.
coming. You're supposed to be just focusing on CS. Like that is your whole shtick. And I feel like supports don't do that.
Yeah.
Especially well in lower elos, they don't do that. So it ends up being a really volatile lane, and I hate that. And when me and Jet were playing, when we were playing mid lane jungle, I was a jungler mid lane, and he was mid lane. We were like killing it, but here comes the ADC from bot lane, the enemy ADC rather, who was 20-1 at like 15
Oh
minutes into
my
the game.
god,
You know,
Jesus.
yeah. So it's like it's a real coin flip lane because then maybe our ADC and support are really good in the next game. So I didn't like the coin flip. It's really coin flippy. So I decided just to go bot lane and take over. But I discovered that one person has to be bot lane no matter what, or you're just not going to win the game. I can
Yeah.
deal with a bad jungler because I can act as a secondary jungler as a support.
Yeah.
So I can deal with that. But yeah, I can't deal with like a bad ADC. Like
That's
they're
why
too
I gotta
critical
get
to the
in there
game.
with you. I gotta get
Yeah,
in there with you guys.
yeah, you
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Because yeah, the game we were talking about, our support was the rando, because that was a weird game, because you guys all got moved around because the support ended up being our rando. There were 4 of us in the
Yeah.
party.
Yep.
And we were like, oh fuck, like we were pissed or whatever. And the support was Blitzcrank, and the player was okay. Like they weren't
Yep.
terrible, but they weren't great either. The in lane, like if you were in the lane with me or Jet was in the lane with me, we would have absolutely run the lane down. Like it would have been a fucking shit show, because me and the Blitz dominated the lane, even though the Blitz wasn't very good, like a lot of the
Yeah.
time, like missing hooks, wasn't putting wards down. We were getting ganked. Like I was just, but the thing is, when I play with a rando like that, like I feel like I'm in a different headspace because I can't rely on them really.
Hmm.
So I was like more in the zone, where
Yeah.
I'm paying attention. I'm warding. I'm dewarding. I'm paying attention to the fucking ganks coming in, and I'm CSing, and I'm being aggressive fighting. Like I felt like I needed to carry more in that situation, so I was doing that. And that ended up extending to the whole game. But we still won the lane early in the game. Like like it was a Tristan. It was I forget who the support was on their side, but the Trist really didn't have any impact in the game. Ultimately, it was
Yeah.
Mordekaiser and Lilia that were the pains in the ass for us. So yeah, no, I I think that's the thing. I think that's where I feel like it's balanced though. Like I had a good early game and it extended throughout the entire game. It's like
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I got punished for someone else's lane going poorly or like the jungler popping off or something like that. Like I was able to go toe to toe with Lilia and Mordekaiser as Jin. Like that patches ago was not
No,
typically a
it wasn't.
true thing at all, dude. And they were fucking terrified of me the whole fucking game, dude. Like they wouldn't come into my attack range. Like Lilia was so scared to even take a shot from me, dude. Like, because like the other three, it was Lux, Trist, and I'm forgetting.
I can't remember the
I
fucking
can't remember who
support.
the fucking support was. It was somebody squishy though. And the three of them, I was two-shotting all three of them the entire fucking game. After the mid game. So Lilia and Mordekaiser, like Mordekaiser was not as scared of me, obviously, because he's tankier. But Lilia did not want to approach because like she would try to come in, hit me, and walk away. She would not jump on me, which was very interesting. So it that typically has not been true when we've been playing League, and I like where the balance is. So I'm interested if we can do 3-person ranked. I'm down to do that with you and Jet for sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we can try it for sure. Yeah,
Mhm.
because we just need one person bot lane. Like that's it. Like I said, I can deal with a bad jungler. I think dealing with a bad jungler or a top laner is still winnable, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Mid lane, I think mid lane, ADC, and support are very crucial, especially ADC and mid lane, in my opinion. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah. So what else
We
you
got
been
that.
playing?
I got that Varus rework too. I
Oh
wanna fuck
yeah, you
around
gotta
with.
try that. Yeah.
I'm actually pretty excited about it because ADC items right now are very strange. Like from when we first started, they are leaning like there aren't very many attack, speed, crit, damage items. Like it's mostly heavy amounts of attack, speed, and crit together, like with no damage on them. Or it's damage and crit with no attack speed. So they're kind of in an interesting spot. So this Varus rework is going to be very intriguing in that aspect because attack speed is going to be very viable on him now because he doesn't get it from his passive as much. Um, so I'm very interested to try that out too. So that'll be pretty cool. But the other thing I've been playing is fucking online poker.
Yeah, fucking degenerate.
Oh man, dude. Okay. So to give context, we have a Magic group, or I have a Magic group that I'm a part of. Group of friends. Montrell unfortunately does not want to play with us. But that group also was interested in playing Hold'em, like poker, like doing a poker night. Playing Texas Hold'em. So we started doing that back in like I don't know April, and we've done it maybe twice so far, and it's been a while since we did the last one, and I'm kind of chomping at the bit a little bit to play because it's very fun. I really enjoy it a lot. So I started when I was on the work trip. I started watching poker, like pro poker videos, like on YouTube and stuff. And that kind of got me into it to the point where I just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna download Poker Stars and like do some online poker. So I've been doing that a little bit, not a lot. Like it's I don't know. I've been playing like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, kind of thing. Just playing a few hands or whatever. But I'm enjoying it though. It's very weird though because it's not for real money. I'm not doing it for real money or anything like that. So it's just like the fake currency they have in their little app. So when you play with people, like this happened to me last night, where the some people like just go crazy. They just go all in every hand. Like they do dumb shit that they would never do at a real poker table. So you're not getting like a real feel for how to play too much sometimes, but I'm just trying to get a rhythm with it and like play hands and like see how hands play out, and just see like what's a good hand versus what is a hand I should maybe not play and fold and stuff like that. So that's been kind of cool, as well. It's been a little bit of fun. So but yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all I've been playing. I'm kind of in between things right now. So
Okay.
what about you?
So I tried to play. I still want to finish my Fallout. This is why I have it on here, my Fallout run. So I'm still want to get back into that when I get done, either studying, failing my test, or passing it, whatever. Um, I still want to play that.
Yeah,
I played Vanquish. I already beat Vanquish like years ago, and I played it again. I beat it again. Very fun game. Definitely frustrating at times, but
it's short, right?
yeah, it's a short game, like 8 hours, maybe. Not even that.
Oh, the
Um,
golden era, man.
yeah.
God, dude, this is PS3, Xbox 360, man, when
Yep.
games were reasonably had reasonable length.
Yep. The only thing I don't like, there really isn't any upgrades per
Hmm.
se. Like what you have is what you get. And the upgrade comes from your skill. So like if you know how to manage your boost or your stamina or whatever, then that's where that's when you learn how to do stuff, and then you can also cancel into stuff and all these other mechanics in the game, like hidden mechanics that they don't teach you in the game or whatever, that are there. Just like any other character action game, like stuff that probably wasn't meant to be there, but you can take advantage of and do crazy shit. Vanquish is the same way. I think it's one of the most underrated shooters of that generation. It's not the best shooter, but it is an underrated shooter that deserves to be
Hmm.
praised.
Yeah.
It was trying something different, and I think it succeeded in that. And I just think it came out when people weren't looking for it. Because I posted it on my Twitter, and there were like so many people like especially like in their 20s, like the early 20s and stuff like that, ask like, what game is this? Oh my god, I've never seen this game before. And I'm like, this is Vanquish. Came out in like 2009, bro. Like, play it. It's on PlayStation right now for like $5, you
Hmm.
know. So yeah, and then another game I'm trying to get back into playing. I'm trying to finish it. I'm not going to restart it. Is Near Automata. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
on A2's part now.
Oh,
So
nice. Okay.
yeah, so I'm relatively far, I believe. Um,
You are.
so I'm trying to finish the game and get to the sweet ending that everyone says like it's worth it. I know there are a couple of different endings, and I hope I get the right one. Um,
Well,
yeah.
so just to explain the way it works, there's not a you're not gonna miss you're not gonna miss an ending. Like you can go back and replay the end of the game to get
Oh,
the
okay,
to get all
okay,
the endings. So um yeah, because I did
okay,
that. I had to do it for I did that for the platinum, and they made it relatively easy to do.
okay.
So
That
yeah, but
makes sense.
there's three major ones. There's three major like divergent paths basically, and then the rest of them are kind of they're not all at the end of the game. Like some of them you have to like when you die that's considered like at certain points when you die that's considered an ending or something like that.
Okay,
So yeah, but
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think the game's really cool. But yeah, I am trying to finish it. So next game I'm playing.
well, hold on with near. So did you restart an old save or
Yes, I did.
okay? So
Yeah.
you like okay? So you've done this over like there's been big gaps in time between you playing the game. Okay,
Yes, yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
be curious to see how the ending hits you then. Given that, like, does it have the
I s-
impact?
I still actually remember a lot of the plot point when I was jumping in,
Okay,
and a
okay.
lot of it just like popped into my head. I was like, oh yeah, I remember doing this. And when they were just talking about stuff, I'm like, oh, I remember doing this, or I remember doing that, or I just remember a lot of stuff. So
Well, the end of the game is really cool. There's some really awesome parts,
okay,
but you're
uh,
very close. You're very close. You're probably. I mean, you have less. You definitely have less than 25% of the game to go for sure.
okay. So and then next game I'm playing is Wanted Dead. It looks like they took a. This is obviously the former Team Ninja, uh, people who made this game, and they're making their own game, which is Wanted Dead, which is their first game they made. So they did a major combat overhaul.
Hmm.
Um, It's not too major, but it is enough for me to get back into playing it. I always said the game felt a little bit stiff, and it's a little bit more flowy. It flows a little bit better now. I think this game will really benefit from a sequel. Hopefully, we do get a sequel from the game. I know it didn't sell too well, but I don't think they should give up on this franchise just yet. I think there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
potential there. It definitely gives me the vibes of Kill Bill slash John Warwick, John Wick. um, so uh, I like where they're going in the direction where they're going with it. I think it just needs to be a little bit more uh focused. They have a lot of mini games. They try to take the Yakuza route. There's not a really an open world, but you can do mini games around the police station and stuff like that because you're a police officer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and old this is definitely old Team Ninja. The story is not the best. I mean, I'm getting like major other M vibes. I mean,
Yeah.
that's old Team Ninja for you.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Team Ninja in general, their stories aren't the best. It's always
Right.
just the combat and the gameplay that carries everything, and the story serves as a backdrop, or Um, but yeah, I think it's on sale. I can't. I, I recommend it if it's like under $25. I recommend buying the game. If it's over
Mm-hmm.
$25, I don't recommend getting the game. I don't think you should spend $30 or $40 for the game. In my opinion. But yeah, they did have a major patch that came out a couple months ago, actually. And then I'm also playing. I'm in like a Team Ninja mood, so I'm playing Ninja Gaiden Sigma or Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge 3. Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge.
Yeah.
Um, it's a part of the Sigma collection, so yeah, Ninja Gaiden Sigma, Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma, I believe it's called. I think, and then Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge, which is like the definitive edition. And I don't know if you
Yep.
guys remember when Ninja Gaiden 3 first came out, it was in a terrible state. A lot of people didn't like the way it was released. Um, and then they actually patched it up with Razor's Edge, which was like the definitive edition of it. And they have it in this collection as well. So I'm playing that. Um, and I don't know, it's just fun character action shit. I do, and that's all I've been playing. So the reason I've been playing anything like newish is because I want short, sweet, and simple, get to the point games where I can feel powerful almost
Mm-hmm.
instantaneously, but I have to work for it. That's why I like Near, even though it's like open world ish game, Wanted Dead and stuff like that, and Vanquish. Because I can get to the action, I can feel a little bit powerful, or I can work my way towards that powerfulness. Whereas, like, I do have Dragon's Dogma 2 on the shelf, and I really want to play that game. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't have the bandwidth to handle another open world game. Um,
Yeah.
that's that
I
big.
totally get you.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be more so towards the end of the summertime, where it's like dead hot, and I'm not leaving the house in August. So,
Well, yeah, and to be fair, when you're done with your class, like that's taking up a lot of time, right?
yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, so I mean that's all I've really been playing, and that's kind of why I'm just taking a break on like newer games. There are a ton of new games I want to play. There are a ton of RPGs I want to play on my fucking Switch. Um, I don't have the bandwidth for 50-hour, 60-hour, 70-hour games, and I still have to finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So that's going to be on the top of my list to finish, and then I'm jumping to Dragon's Dogma. But I just want
Mm-hmm.
to get my certification out the way and everything like that before I tackle those games.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. All right. Fair enough. Well, then let us jump into the news. So we don't have many stories this week, but the first one is one we've talked about this on the show before. When the ban first happened and speculated on that and everything. So Dr. Disrespect has been in the news this week because to run through just kind of the high level state sequence of events. So some former Twitch employees, one of them was on a podcast, I believe this is where this started, talking about his ban and that he was they used the word sexting minors in the Twitch Whispers application, which was in beta at the time. And that resulted in there was I think a couple other former Twitch employees that came out and talked a little bit more in detail about it. And there was a lot of speculation going on. People didn't know what was going on. Doc replied to like Jake Lucky at some point and said something along the lines of, this was settled in court and no wrongdoing had happened. People were not convinced by that statement because it was very like legal, by the book type legal reply. But after a couple days of this, Doc released a tweet on his Twitter, and I'm not going to read any of the tweet. You guys can go read it if you want, but he pretty much admitted to the allegations, essentially. And he said that he was messaging with a minor in 2017, and that they were casual conversations that sometimes leaned into inappropriate places, and nothing ever happened out of it. He didn't have any, he said there was no intent behind the comments. And then he went on to kind of talk about, I'm a different person now, that kind of angle he was taking. I'm a different person now, this kind of thing is in the past and I'm moving on, kind of thing. It was a very weird tirade, to be honest. It was very expletive laden. There were a lot of F-bombs in there. He talked about owning his shit, and he always owns his shit, that kind of thing. And when it first dropped, I think my immediate reaction to it was, okay, Doc will probably be fine with his fans, because they, he's got a very rabid base of fans. And super loyal to him and whatnot. I kind of thought it wasn't bad enough that they would abandon him, but I did feel like a lot of influencers were going to come out against him. And that is pretty much that. The influencers coming out has definitely played out. A lot of people have come out against him. I don't feel like he's getting a ton of support from that side of things, or really any support from that side of things. Tim the Tatman, Nick Merckx, like these are big streamers that have been very tied to Doc in terms of like playing games with him and stuff over the last few years. Both of them kind of denounced him and were like, yeah, I can't abide this, basically. So, and for my personal feelings, it's kind of more, well, Montrell, let me get what your, I guess let's get your thoughts first on it. So you said you kind of, things have changed. Our feelings on it have changed, I guess, since this statement first came out. But what did you think of this whole situation with Doc?
I try to give it the benefit of the doubt, even though the entire time in the back of my head, I kind of knew
it had to be something like this.
It had to be something like this, and I even texted to you, even when my text was almost like predicted. When I texted to you, I was like, "Yep, this is exactly what I thought," and it was that pretty much. What I actually thought was he was texting the minor or whispering the minor or whatever, and before it even got to that point, Twitch shut it down because they obviously, like, now this is the honest part of it. Twitch was after this guy. Like, definitely. Let's just be honest about that.
They were looking for any reason they could to get rid of him.
Yeah. So they were definitely looking out. So, or looking for something to get him out of there. So that's why I was teetering when the news first broke. And then on top of that, the guy who released the information was like, I can give you more information if you get tickets to my concert or some bullshit like that or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very weary on it. But then when other people started speaking out against it or whatever, and the one that really got me, because I didn't say anything to anybody about it, or I think I said something to you about it, but the one that really got me was the Midnight Society saying, like, hey, like, we saw the proof. We assumed that he was innocent until we saw the proof, and then we said no, like, we have to get rid of him. And a lot of people were like, oh, it's a PR thing, they got a new game coming out. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know, man. Like, a company, even I found it with like my group of friends or whatever. It even wasn't my group of friends. It was like a group of people that I kind of trusted, and we founded this company, and I was a co-founder, and they just oust me out of it. Like, that's kind of weird to me. Like, it wasn't like I was
Yeah.
like CEO of Amazon, or I was partnered with Amazon or something like that. Like, or I was partners with a game company that already existed before me. This company is because of me. It existed, and then they outed me, or they ousted me out of there. So
Yeah.
that to me was like very weird. And I'm like, they had to do an investigation, and they got the receipts, and they were like, this is unacceptable.
Well, yeah, because when that part happened, I kind of had a more, I guess I was trying to take a view that like they wanted to distance themselves from this regardless of what the truth was that was kind of the thought I was having. But it turns out that they did know what they knew. It
Yeah,
sounds like.
and that's kind of
I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt, as you were saying as well, right? That
yeah,
maybe they were just trying to distance themselves from this. I mean, because I said to you, like, this is an indie studio trying to make a competitive shooter. They don't need this drama, you know.
yeah,
And Doc's presence for the company is not necessarily that important for the game to continue. It would be better for them to get out of this spotlight with him. But to be honest, like getting rid of a co-founder is a big deal. You know,
yeah,
it's a lot. Like if it was just allegations, it would be very weak to get to disassociate with somebody based off allegations alone without any proof.
yeah.
That would be very poor form, I feel like. So in retrospect, it seems more obvious that they knew the
Yeah.
truth.
And the reason I also was like on the other side, like they have actual proof, is because like he was the founder, and I feel like this company wouldn't, people will support him no matter what, right? And I feel like it would take a strong something strong for them to just be like, yo, okay, no, we can't do this, right? So that's where I was at with it. And then once everything finally broke out, and he said like, I was, texting a minor,
Yeah,
and it led towards, the conversations did steer, or whatever he said, like lead towards inappropriateness and stuff like that at times, which means they did get inappropriate, in my opinion. Um, he didn't say in the statement that he didn't know the person was this age or something. So people are making that excuse, which I'm like, if that was the case, he would have said it. He didn't say
yeah,
that
yeah.
at all in this statement. And his statement was super fucking long, by the way.
Yes, it
So
was.
um I I was just like, I always thought he was like cool. I never was a big follower of him, but like I thought he was just a cool, funny, quirky person to, occasionally like, look at YouTube clips of and everything like that, and laugh with y'all about it and shit like that. I wasn't like a huge Doc fan or whatever, but I was just like, yeah, he's cool. I think he serves the gaming space, and
Yeah,
whatever the case,
yeah,
whatever the beast. But it does suck. And it doesn't suck because he's gone. It sucks because of what he did.
yeah,
And the influence that he had on the culture of gaming and everything of that nature, and possibly other people he could have like took advantage of at the time.
yeah.
And this is where I stand on it, and this is like a firm stance for me. And I'm 35, y'all,
Right.
and I think Doc was 34 at the
He
time.
was 35 when
Oh, he was 30.
he
Okay,
yeah, when this happened. Yeah.
I'm 35 now, bro. I can't even hold a conversation with a 20-year-old,
Can you imagine?
let alone
Yeah.
DMing a fucking 17. I don't even know how the age of the person. That person was underage. I Unless you're asking me like, hey Montrell, how do I get into streaming? Or I understand you're like in the IT world or something like that. How do I get into that? I will give you advice on that. Like that's cool. Like, hey man, like do this, do that, blah blah blah, and then go about my day. But like, what other conversations can we have? None. Like there's no there's nothing else we need to be talking about. How was your day? You don't need to know that. You're fucking 17, bro. Or
Yeah.
you're
Right.
16, sis. Like, get
Yeah.
the fuck out of my DMs with that shit. Like, I don't that we don't need to go anywhere with that. And now that I have a wife and I'm married and all this other stuff like that, but even when I was in a relationship with her, it was just like I'm not even about to entertain. Like, I don't entertain other women my age.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Justin, we're talking about it in text. Was like, we
Yeah.
don't even entertain women our age,
Right.
like other women in our age, because we just don't
We don't want
want.
to be in that position, dude.
Exactly.
Like you don't want to put yourself in a position, you know?
So, I feel like from that stance, from that point alone, there was no excuse for him to be texting like infidelity
Absolutely.
shit, with somebody of age. That's I feel like me personally, that's none of our business. That's between him and his wife. Even when
Right.
like the whole Tiger Woods thing happened, I feel like that was none of our business. That was between him and his wife. Like whatever. Um, but this was crazy because there's also another flip side to this, in my opinion. Because he didn't explicitly say this, but Nick Merckx did, or Nick Merckxa, or I think that's his last name, Merckxa or Merckx. I'm just calling Nick Merckx, that's his Twitter handle. So Nick
Yeah.
Merckx did, but they were all for like protected children and everything like that. And I, I don't like when you just put like because you don't like a group of people, you put stuff on them because you just don't like them. I don't like that without
Yeah.
proof or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And he was 100% backing them when like Call of Duty was like against Nick Merckx and their thing. He was like, "Oh, well, we're not playing Call of Duty anymore," and like I didn't like that. And it's like it's kind of weird how you were accusing those people of being predators when you yourself was a predator.
Ugh.
And I mean, it just came out that he was actually
Yeah.
explicitly engaged with sexual activity with of age to a trans person, so
Yeah.
um
Jesus.
so
Yeah. He was wild back then,
yeah.
dude. Crazy.
And I understand people change, right? And I totally get that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. For me
Well.
personally, there's certain lines you just can't cross, and the minor thing to me, that's just like a line you
Yeah.
can't cross,
Yeah.
like I and I don't like people defending it. I don't like people trying to find a reason to defend it. Um, I haven't brought it up to certain people because I don't want to go down that path.
You don't want to have.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think we needed to give it a few days. I feel like I feel like I know. I mean, I know who we're talking about. So
yeah,
I feel like he would come down more on where we are now. Honestly, with
yeah,
time having passed and
yeah,
things have played out a little bit.
yeah,
Because dude, I think the thing is, okay, we know for a fact that he cheated on his wife, right? That he came out and admitted that back. I think this was in 2019. This was when he was starting to really pop off when PUBG was at its height and everything like
yeah,
that.
yep,
And he had the stream where he came on, he wasn't in costume, and he admitted that he cheated on his wife, and then he disappeared for like 6 months. And then he came back, and his branding, he changed a lot of stuff about his brand. Like Dr. Disrespect was still the name, he still wore the costume, but the membership was called the Slick Daddy Club, and he changed it to the Champions Club, and there was a whole bunch of other things that came with that. So this happened, these interactions with this minor happened in 2017, which is somewhere around the time frame where he cheated on his wife. And it sounds like Doc was really wild in the late teens
I don't think
and
he could handle. I
the
think he just
fame.
the fame. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
think happened. I think
right.
it just all just hit him at once.
Yeah. And I think he
Not to make an
wasn't.
excuse for the minor thing, but I'm just saying like
No, I'm just trying to give context, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because I think it is an important facet of the conversation that I actually do think he changed after the cheating thing when he came back. I mean, dude, have we heard of a scandal with him
no,
like from 2020 when he came back till now? Like has there been a scandal with him? Not really. It's all
no,
the stuff from the past that keeps cropping back up with him. So it feels like because him and his wife did not separate. They stayed together, and she actually became a part of the stream with him in some ways. Where he calls her the female assassin, I think, or something like that, or something along those lines. And his daughter's like on the stream sometimes, like he brings her. So he got really into the family after the cheating thing happened, and it seems like they as a group became stronger from it. But I'm assuming she's aware. She's probably aware of all the shit that he got up to. I would guess for them to have gotten through the cheating that he came clean about a lot of shit probably.
yeah,
I'm assuming. So she probably knows about this and whatnot. But anyways, I don't want to speculate on that.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Getting back to him. So it seems like from this period of time, probably like 2015, 2016 through like 2019 when he admitted to the cheating, there was just a lot of shit he was getting into, it sounds like, and he was doing wild shit, and like you said, I think the fame got to him. So that's important context here, but again, to your point, dude, the minor thing is just, but like, bro, this is a line in our society that you cannot cross. It's just, it just is a line, and I know this deeply because my wife's profession, she's a teacher, right?
Yeah.
And she has been through and seen many of these scandals at her place of work,
Wow.
or in her sphere of the, like, the region she worked in and stuff like that, of teachers getting with their students. And it is not that uncommon. It happens all the time. It is very, very common, and it is super dangerous. And the male teachers are particularly a problem, where it happens more with them, obviously, than female teachers. But female teachers do it too. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's just so, I particularly have a little bit of a different perspective on this, because I know somebody who works in a profession where this is a consistent problem that, like, administration has to talk about every year. Don't diddle kids and shit like that, you know. And it's like, you think it's obvious, but it, unfortunately, I just think when when people are in the moment, sometimes they lose sight of what's actually happening, you know, like, and what they're doing. And to what you said, you can't even put yourself in a position that this is possible, dude, you know? And like, he fucked up, and the fact that he admitted it,
I mean, I could.
frankly, for him and his band, for him and his brand, what, I think it was a bad idea to admit it, but whatever. You can take that however you feel about it. But dude, it's just, to me, it's just like, it's gross, dude. It's gross. You know, he could be a changed person. Like, I feel like genuinely he is a changed person, but it doesn't matter. That was coming off of the cheating and whatnot. You know, that's an adult with an adult. That was a different thing, right?
Yeah.
This is an adult with a minor. I mean, we're talking about he's twice the age of the person he's talking to, you know? This isn't like a 19-year-old with a 17-year-old, you know? It's not that kind of situation, which that's much more reasonable a thing to happen. When you're 35 and you're married and you have a kid and you're doing this with a minor, like, it's just there's no
It's
defense
so
for
many,
it.
yeah,
There's no
so many
defense for it.
layers when you start thinking about it. It's just,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
your kids are watching you, and then you have to go to events where kids are at,
Mhm.
and it's just,
I don't even know how you live with yourself. I'm gonna bet he probably has issues with that.
I mean,
Honestly.
I'm pretty sure he goes to therapy and stuff, or
Yeah.
like he has like
Yeah.
a full blown psychiatrist for this shit. But it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I didn't even cut you off. Keep going.
Yeah. But dude, it's just, this is a line you don't cross. He crossed it, and frankly, I don't blame any of these other streamers or influencers or fans or anybody from disassociating with him. Like, it's like, it's gross. He didn't actually do anything with the minor. You know, he didn't meet up in person. They didn't have sex. It's not like that. Like, there are degrees to this kind of thing, right? Like, so he's kind of on the lighter end of the spectrum, but it doesn't matter. Like, he's still he did the thing. He still had those conversations. Like, we don't know exactly what the DMs were, but he's obviously going to downplay the severity of it. You know, we don't know the truth. It doesn't matter, though, to me. It's like, whatever the level is, it happened, you know? And
I mean, he said it, you know.
he admitted it.
Yeah.
He admitted it. And now that he's done that, I mean, we don't really need any other information
I don't
me,
need information. Yeah.
I don't need any more information for me to change the way I feel about this now. Like,
Yeah.
I just think it's like, I'm not going to watch Doc again. You know, I'm done with him. I'm not a big fan of him either. Like, to be frank, like, I got into him in 2019 when he was starting to get big. And I watched him a lot back then, and then the cheating thing happened. He came back, and I kind of fell off at that point. I haven't really been a viewer of his for a long time.
Because it was just like too long of a, you know.
Yeah, it was
break.
too long of a gap. I was kind of in a phase with streaming too. You know, I just, you know.
Yeah.
So I haven't been a big fan of his in a long time. So I'm not really losing anything personally from an entertainment standpoint. But I will say, like, it does suck in the sense of, for the space of streaming, he is doing something unique, you know, that I don't feel like a lot of streamers do. Like, he's playing a character, you know, and that is something that is not super well explored in Twitch. And that's the unfortunate part about this, is like, he was kind of the big one, and he was really one of the few that was doing this kind of thing. And now it's like, I mean, he says he's going to come back, and he says he's not going to quit streaming. He's taking a break. He's going on vacation with his family or whatever, but I'm sure he will still have an audience for sure when he comes back. But,
that's the second part of the conversation I really wanted to get into.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can finish your thoughts. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, that was pretty much it. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so like that's the second part of the conversation. Like I really want to get into the fact that he's still going to have an audience after this is kind of wild to me.
Mhm.
I already knew he was, but this this is so much bigger than like just him. Um, I feel like there's a lot of political condemnation or yeah, a lot of political stuff attached to this, and like I already knew I took a vow, a oath to never get political on the podcast, but it's
Yeah.
unfortunately like this stuff leaks into that, and it was a lot
Yeah.
of left versus right stuff, and I feel like everybody should
Mhm.
be on point
Y-
with this. No,
Yeah.
no matter if you're left, right, gay, straight, black, white, whatever. If you diddle a kid or groom a kid, electric chair. Like everybody's just like, yeah, bye. Like
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. So that's where, and that's where I'm getting upset because like there are people like the quarterling coming out like I still support him, and it's the left wokeism trying to get him out of here, and it's
Yeah, of
like,
course he
I'm,
would. What do
yeah,
you mean, dude? It has nothing to do with it. Dude, he's like it's a minor, bro. Like
he he admitted it. He canceled
I
himself
know he
essentially.
literally admitted it. I don't know what else you need to like. It's not a political situation, you know.
Yeah, and um, I I
So
I, I
it
don't
becomes so
like.
cut and dry.
Yeah,
It's kind of wild that people are screening for him somehow.
yeah, I don't like how political is getting in the wrong sense. Because people are defending him, especially people like on the right spectrum of things. When I feel like if this is on the left, everyone be like, "See, I told you so. I told you so." Those lefties, and even the people on the left will be like, they'll be like, "Yeah, get him the fuck out of here. Like, we don't need him in our space, or them, or whatever in our space anymore." And to be frank, there are some people on the right who are saying like, "Yo, like we don't need him in our space anymore." It makes the whole thing, or they're even saying like, "This is it. This isn't a left versus right thing," and it isn't. And that's why I'm getting so really irritated with it. I don't like where the internet is trying to take this. I think it's really weird that you're taking
Mhm.
this that way.
Yeah.
Politics aside, touching the kid or grooming the kid should not be a left versus right issue. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, sue me.
No,
Like,
it's not. It's definitely not.
yes.
It's not, dude.
Like,
It's not. It's very cut and dry. There's
yeah,
no
like,
political slant to this at all.
um,
This
and
is a cultural thing. Like you don't do this, okay? We're not
yeah,
Japan. We're not Japan, okay? Like we have a very strict line with minors, okay?
exactly.
Like
And um, I don't care about the age of consent in the state. If you tell me, if we're in a casual conversation with each other, Justin, I'm going to tell you right now. If you tell me the age of a state, the age of consent in the state, I'm probably going to question our friendship. I don't need to know that.
yeah,
I don't.
it's not relevant information, right?
Yeah.
When you're 35, like I don't think you should be caring what the age of consent is, you know?
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
like people are like, well, technically the age of consent in the state is blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, if you tell me what the age of consent is in the state, country, Providence, bro, we don't need to have it. That's where
Well,
you lose it.
I assume those laws are there to protect like 19-year-olds, you know, or 18-year-olds
Yeah, yeah,
getting with like a 16-year-old or something, because that's not like that is not an unreasonable situation, you know, to
yes.
me
I agree with
necessarily.
that. I agree with
But if
that.
you're 25, no,
No, yeah.
you know, like no, you shouldn't be doing that.
I'll be honest with you. I graduated at 18.
Yeah,
19, I wasn't even talking to anybody in high school. Like,
yeah, same.
so
I mean, well, there's no real reason to, unless you were actively dating somebody
yeah,
that
exactly.
was like a couple grades behind you when you were in high school. Like, there's no real reason for you to talk to people
Exactly.
younger. Like,
So, I don't know. And then the second thing about this, besides the political thing, is uh, it isn't just Doctor Disrespect. There's a running joke that like somebody made a joke or a TikTok saying like, man, you've been putting all these hours into content creation. You've been doing all this stuff. You finally blew up, and you can finally provide for your family. And the guy's like, he's like, what do you have to say, man? Like you finally made it. He's like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I love kids. He was like, oh my god,
oh
bro.
my,
it is true. how many times have we been on YouTube where we see people just come out, either their folder gets exposed or something like that with something crazy. Now, if you're like into some fetish shit that doesn't involve children, but like into some fetish type shit, I don't fucking care about that. That is your own business. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. I'm gonna tease you about it, but you know,
Yeah.
ultimately at the end of the day, you know, as long as it's consenting shit, like I don't give a fuck. But
Mm-hmm.
like, uh, yeah, like there is a issue in streaming, where children are very vulnerable, and I think it needs to be addressed now. With this doc situation, I think articles need to be read about it, or articles need to be written about it, and how can we combat this? Um,
Mm-hmm.
because it's only going to get worse. I mean, even and then the third point is, um, this is not victim blaming or shifting the blame off to someone else. This is 70-40, 70-30. Wow, math. 70-30. And 30% of it being on Twitch. I even say 40% being on Twitch. They are harboring a really toxic environment. We already talked about the streaming stuff where women can, or not women, but anybody can start twerking and it's considered art on
Yeah.
Twitch. You can do body paint stuff and it's considered, I mean, technically that is art, but like they're naked and like the only thing covering their vagina is the paint. You know what I'm saying? Or the only thing
Mm-hmm.
covering their dick is the paint or something like that, or their ass or whatever the case may be. Um, and like Morg Pie, for instance, right, where she had that whole stream where she kind of revolutionized the way you watch, the way you do green screen. She had a green short on, and like Fortnite was streaming on her ass, where the camera was right there on her ass. And Fortnite was like right there, so she was playing Fortnite, and the camera was on her ass, but she had green, like tight panties on, so it was showing Fortnite instead of her actual panties. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, but Twitch is 13 and up, right? And like, oh, well, they have like a little gate there where it says like, oh, are you over the age of 18? And it's like, all I had to do is make a fake account, bro. And then yeah, I am over the age of
Yeah.
18 now, you know? So it's
Right.
like Twitch is harboring this as well. And then the first part of this should have been, this is before all that happened in Twitch. If this was happening, I don't care about NDA, bro. Like, this is crazy shit. This needed to be, I don't know if they could have. Maybe they did take the legal precedence and try to take it to the authorities, and they didn't have a legal ground to stand on.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at with it. Like, there is no NDA with this type of shit. Like, this is a, and he went on to have a full career after this, right? And it's like he could, if he
Well,
wanted to, he could have done a lot of more damage. You know?
yeah. Well, it's weird that he brought the lawsuit to Twitch and won, like got the settlement from them, you
Yeah,
know, and he got his contract paid out from them at the time because he had a contract with them. Um, and I find that so interesting given the fact that this is true, you know. That's, I don't know. I mean, there's probably some legal loophole about it
yeah.
or something like that, that they approached it the wrong way or didn't do it the right way or something like that.
And I think
Um,
that's the majority of it, because like you said, I think they stepped in a lot of landmines and blew themselves up a lot of times because they were looking for something to get them off of it, and they finally found it. But instead of going about it in a calm and easy way, they're like, they probably, I from what I've heard, people have gotten fired over this because they done it the wrong way, and that's why
yeah,
he did get the Twitch payout, because a lot of shit went wrong, and um yeah, he
yeah.
caught wind of it, and before it got out there, got the lawsuit, that's the settlement, and everything of that nature.
Hmm. Yeah, man. I don't know. I kind of feel like he should, whatever break he's taking, he really needs to think about maybe not coming back because this is like,
I
it's
don't know how
just,
you come back from this,
you
but
can't be a role model anymore, you know? And I think that was a big part of like what he wanted his perceived brand to be, you know? You can't be a role model after this, dude. Like you literally did things that predators do, you know? It's like you're like that label, maybe it's extreme to call him a predator, but I mean, dude, it's like you did things that predators do basically, you know? Like you said, grooming, you know, and stuff like that. It's like um I don't know. It's just it's ugly because if he comes back, I do think this is gonna be very. It's gonna be very ugly. Like when he comes back, I don't think people are gonna be quiet about it. you know, because like we can't really stand for this in the industry either, you know? It's like that like we're gonna allow somebody back like this. Like, dude, this to me, this kind of reminds me of sports, you know, where athletes do terrible shit all the time. And depending on how talented they are, they get a pass because they're talented at the sport they play. But I mean, there are guys who have literally, you know, domestically abused their spouses, and you know, the teams just let enough time pass, and then they'll sign the guy, you know, and it's like
Yeah,
they'll bring him back, and then the guy has a career. Or Michael Vick's probably one of the most famous examples where he, you know, the whole dog fighting ring. You remember that
yeah, I
back
remember
from
that.
the mid aughts, where he literally had a dog fighting ring in his fucking house, and we like rehabilitated this guy into society. And it's just like I loved Michael Vick, okay, when I was young.
Hmm.
Like he was probably one of my favorite players of all time when his early career when he was playing in the NFL. I don't think I don't think he should have got a second chance personally. Like I know that we're a society that loves the idea of second chances, but the crime that he'd committed was so heinous. I don't really understand how we rehabilitate somebody like that. And to be fair to him, he had changed after he came back from prison and came back to the NFL, and like he seems like he's in a good place now. So that has a happy ending, I guess. But he still did those acts, dude. It's just like I don't know. It's kind of hard to like get over that to me, you know. And it's gonna be the same thing here with Doc to me. Um,
Yeah, it does bring up an interesting question. I guess it's more a philosophical question. It's like, well, the difference between Doc and Michael Vick, right, is like Michael Vick actually served time. You know, he
right.
actually had to do quote unquote rehabilitation. So it's like a two-part philosophical question for us. It's like, um, one is our system really designed for rehabilitation? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Compared to like other countries, and like that's a whole conversation. And then the second thing is, do we as human beings actually believe in rehabilitation, or is it a thing that you know that we just say? And I'm not just saying like you, because I do the same
Well,
thing, right? It's
is it more selfish in the case of Doc? Right, people who want to forgive him already, I think it's more of a self. It's probably a selfish thing where he's their main entertainer and they don't want to lose that, you know.
yes, yep,
And I totally understand that from the perspective of like right now, my favorite football podcast has been off air for over a month, and there's been radio silence about what's going on with it, and it is seriously like impacting me. Like I miss this podcast. Like it has been part of my life for 10 years, you know. And it has nothing to do, it's nothing like there's nothing crazy going on with it or anything like that. Like they're in contract negotiations, I think, with the NFL, or ESPN might be acquiring NFL media. So that's why they're off air. It's not like anybody did anything crazy. But so the show will come back at some point. So but I'm saying that to say that I understand how it feels to have a main entertainer that's been your main form of entertainment for years, like five to 10 years, and to then lose that's a big hole that leaves, you know. Especially when it's something like a streamer or an influencer or something that you feel a little bit more personally close to, I guess. But in this case, that selfishness, like you have to get over that, dude. Like you can't make an exception because somebody's entertaining, you know. I don't think that's appropriate. And dude, the idea of rehabilitation is great. I've talked about it, I think we both talked about it on this podcast before, that we're not willing to forgive people for minor transgressions anymore. But this isn't a minor transgression, you know. Like this is a serious thing. And I don't think somebody like Doc should necessarily get a second chance. Like he's a fucking millionaire. Does this guy, he could fuck off and never appear on the internet again and be fine for the rest of his fucking life and live the most comfortable, beautiful, wonderful life you could ever fucking imagine, you know? So like from that perspective, I feel no sympathy for him. I personally would rather see him disappear and someone else takes his place, or a group of people take his place and take that audience, and we get people who are more appropriate, you know, like that we get new people that come in that will fill the gap, rather than having a guy that has this kind of action following him forever. Like, I don't think this kind of person should be the one getting tens of thousands of viewers on Twitch. You know, I'd rather see new people that are upstanding people. You know, as much as I think Doc has changed and could change, and maybe he is a different person now. But that was in the context of not knowing that he did this. You know, so
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
changes the complexion of the way I feel about it. You know.
yeah, and I don't know, like if he served time and got like therapy for it or whatever, like maybe I'm like, okay, maybe you can deserve a second chance, bro. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like serving time is like the big one for me. Like you have to serve some kind of fucking time. You know, you have to pay
Yeah.
for the crimes you have committed and stuff like that, and things of that nature. I guess one can argue like it's grooming the crime, and I think it is. In me personally, I think sexting a minor is crazy to me. Like you're
Yeah.
even if you didn't send pictures or anything like that, like I think it's and you didn't intend that you're not going to meet up with the person. I still think sexting someone like cyber sex and shit like that, I think it should be considered a form of sex.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But that's neat. It is here or there, but it's like, and then the case of like people like Mike Vick who like do heinous crimes like murder. Well, he didn't murder, but he did like murder dogs. So it's like,
yeah,
he murdered dogs and stuff like that, and then people who murdered actual human beings and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of those people have come out and changed, but then it's like, and then we have seen people who've like literally forgiven the killers of like their daughters or sons or something of that nature. Like their parents have like fully forgave them for what they've done, you know? And I don't know. I just think, I don't know. Maybe it's more so of a spiritual question. Like maybe it's just it's a case by case basis of who you actually, rehabilitate. I think for children,
it's also how you rehabilitate, dude. Like in Dr. Disrespect's case, right? I don't think he should go to jail and like be cast out of society for this, right? Like I don't think he should. Like, it's not like I think he should never be allowed to work anywhere ever again. You know, it's like he can live his life and do whatever he wants. I think what I'm saying in the context of his career as a streamer, that's the reason this happened. Do we really think he should continue being a streamer with that context?
Oh yeah, 100% no. Like,
so that's more what I'm getting at. I don't think I don't think this is like this. Like I said, there's like degrees of this, right? He's on like the lighter end of the spectrum, but he's still in the spectrum, you know?
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, like I think given that the streaming part is where I get hung up on it. Like I don't think he should continue to stream and like have this. Like if he comes back, dude, and he ends up getting more viewers out of it, like that's gonna feel so fucked up, you know? Like that's gonna feel so fucking gross.
And that's why I'm really upset, because I think he is, because the way people are trying to spin it now, I usually call it the grift, the right wing grift or whatever, where people will say something crazy like like some girl on TikTok said the N word, and then next thing you know, she was on, right wing podcast and right wing stuff, and like, oh, see, they're mad at me. The woke left is mad at me, and it's like, you said the N word. Like, what do you mean some people are mad at you? And it's like, I think they're trying to spin this that way too, where it's like the woke left is vilifying this man just trying to, make a killing for his, or make a means for his family and everything like that. And I'm like, I can see the grift happening in front of my eyes, and I don't like where it's going. And that's kind of why I dialed back on it. And that's also why I didn't talk to other people about it. Not just like our friend, but like there are other people I know personally who like him as well. And I'm like, I just haven't said anything because I just don't want to go have that conversation, because like you said, I'm going to think it's extremely fucked up, like extremely fucked up. And I don't know, like we take the reason why, like, and people are like, well, he's just talking to, well, she's 17 or whatever. um, I went back. This is a personal story, so I'm gonna tell it, and
Mhm.
I hope people don't get upset. But I went back to Michigan recently for Memorial Day, and I visited one of my friends. And uh, his partner, she was 21, and he's the same age as me.
Yeah.
And do what you do. I don't care. Whatever the case may be. Me and my wife were talking to both of them, and then it was two of my other friends there as well, and we were all the same age. She's literally the youngest person there, and then she was talking to us about certain stuff, right? And we were just like, we didn't say it to her, but like me and my wife got in the car, and she was just like, "Oh my god, poor thing, she just doesn't know." Like
Yeah.
certain stuff that she was telling us, we were just like, I was trying to tell her like, and even he was trying to tell her like, you haven't went through these things yet, like you haven't experienced this. It's like the innocence of a 21-year-old, right? You're just like,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like that's crazy to me. So with these situations, people were like, why y'all take these situations so seriously? And it's like, because the innocence of a child, they literally don't know shit. Like, you
Right.
can think back when you were like 15, 16, 17. You thought you knew everything. You didn't know
You
shit.
didn't know shit. You didn't know shit. None
And,
of
it,
us did.
and it's the innocence and the taking advantage of that really gets to me. Like, it's the same thing with like, they can't protect themselves. And it's the same thing with like animals, right? That's why animal cruelty is taken to a higher degree than like, human stuff and everything like that. It's because sometimes certain humans interact with each other. They kind of know what they're getting into before they interact with each other when they're of age.
Yeah. Yeah.
But animals literally don't know what the fuck is going on, and you're a more intelligent being than them. So you know what the fuck you're doing to that animal. Like that's why
Right.
bestiality is a crime, right? Because it's like that animal doesn't know what the fuck is going on, but you know what the fuck is going
Well,
on,
that's why
right?
the dog fighting ring is so disgusting, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
yeah.
Like these animals put their trust. I'm pretty sure those animals trust in him, certain
Yeah.
and others, and then they just
Right.
took fully advantage of that trust, right? So, like, I can only imagine like a cat fighting ring, having my fucking silence and deli in the fucking cat. I'd probably fucking kill myself. Like, that's crazy to me. And it's
Mhm.
like, so like that's why we're talking about it, and I think that's why the doc situation is crazy because uh I was watching like a clip from Kai Cenat or whatever. You know Kai Cenat
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
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 So he actually like went to a school with like 12-year-olds and stuff like that, right? Because he was like there for an event or whatever. And he was like, "Oh, show me what y'all be doing and stuff like that." And uh they really couldn't like give him a straight sentence or whatever. They were like blurting out crazy stuff that he said on stream and other people said on stream. He was like, he looked at the camera like, and then he came back. Well, he told them, he's like, listen, I want you guys to delete Twitch, unfollow me off Twitch right now. He took their phones and he literally like made them unfollow him. He was like, I want you to like, go watch this video on YouTube, like educational shit. He's like, delete TikTok, please.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, bro, like these are the people watching you, and these are like all the shit that you're doing on stream. And his stream changed after that, by the way. It's more like gaming focused. It's not really like crazy how it used to be and everything like that. It's
So he
more
didn't just die 1,000 times playing Elden Ring, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think even he realized the amount of power that he has like over youth.
Yeah. Dude, for real. I think that was the thing. That was the last thing I wanted to say is the reason this is so gross is the power dynamic that Doc has over this minor. Think about that for a second. This is a guy who's a millionaire, gets like tens of thousands of views a day on his streams. Like this is a very powerful individual relative to the minor. It's very easy to use that power dynamic to take advantage of somebody. And that is the gross. That's probably one of the grossest parts about it. Um, and yeah, it's just like that kind of person shouldn't be in the limelight. Like we don't need people like that in the limelight. There are better people out there that could be taking his taking this spotlight, you know? Um, so I don't know. That's it. That's it for me. I don't anything
Yeah,
else you want to say
that's all I
on it?
got for it. Yeah,
Okay.
I just hope it doesn't happen again, and I hope we take more steps to protect, kids
Yeah.
in this situation. So
Yeah, and yeah, I wish Twitch
and not just
would
kids
more
too, but like
overtly do
smaller
more. Yeah.
creators and stuff like that. I don't want them to get taken advantage of as well. Like
Yeah.
that happens,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah, but I just wish Twitch would do more, and YouTube as well, because I don't think they're protecting. I don't think they're protecting minors in any way with the way they run the platform. You know, especially with how much of the like porn side of things have started to kind of bleed into it.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
I I
Oh my
just
god.
well, this is my issue with Twitch and this whole thing is they act like the people that were there acted like they are some like paragons of virtue, and then look what's happened with this
Exactly.
platform. Like they can go fuck themselves. Like they weren't necessarily wrong with the actions they took, but their attitude is really gross. Like they're trying to take the moral high ground when at the same time
They
they're
don't
like,
they don't
you
have
know,
a more high ground to stand on, in my opinion, at
right,
all.
yeah. So, all right, that's enough of that. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's move on. Our next story, Shawn Layden did another interview this past week with it was with a podcast. It was on Game Lab Live is what it is. And he did an interview, and he had a lot of interesting comments. He was we talked about his interview several years ago before the PS5 and Xbox Series came out,
Mhm.
where he was talking about rising costs of games and that that development costs need to come down and stuff like that. And he did another interview where he talked about this here. So I'm going to read a few quotes and then we can kind of discuss. So, um, all right, quote. So sadly, it does my heart no good to think that I was right, and it wasn't any great prediction. It was watching trend lines of over 25 years of gaming. The numbers only go in one direction. Games don't get any cheaper. They don't get shorter. They get more complex. They become more costly. The large blockbusters, when people are swinging for the fences, they're coming in at 150 to 250 million dollar bracket, and that is a huge burden on the game development business model on the publishers for carrying that, and that's led to some of the contraction in the marketplace that we've seen. We live in a world where only 32% of gamers actually finish the game, so we're making a lot of game that 68% of people aren't seeing. So should we continue to build games that are unlikely for most of the people to even see the end of it? It costs to build to the end. You can tighten that up. You can make your games on a shorter timeline that will reduce your costs. It'll get you to market faster. You can please your customers sooner rather than always telling them to wait 45 years for your next opus. I think we just have to re-examine how we present ourselves and our games to the gaming public. It was such a big deal in the early days of gaming. In the PlayStation 1, 2, 3 generations, it was length was your top review point. We kept judging games by how much gameplay you get for your dollar. And maybe that was a decent metric back in the times when the average gamer was late teens, early 20s, which means they're time rich and money poor. So having to sit down for that long of a session to get through some huge RPG seemed reasonable. I just think now the average age of gamers is approaching your early 30s. You got the flip. There's more money rich and time poor. You have to really kind of strap on some free time if you're going to sit down with Red Dead Redemption 2 and get through that. We need to understand what our customers are looking for. Do they want a high impact, high enjoyment piece of gaming, which may not include large sections of the game where you're going on a quest to find this blue rock to bring it to the red troll and he'll open a door for you? It's just the kind of like burning time. It's called grinding for a reason. End quote. So I'm gonna stop there. Um, anything you want to pull out from those comments?
I like how he actually recognizes that. I mean, it sucks for Gen Z, I guess, is in this one, but it sucks for like Gen Alpha. But like
Mm-hmm.
millennials are the core gamers right now,
Yes.
and we are the majority of like I think you had a stat too from a couple months ago where you said like we are the core gamers and that pay the most
Yeah.
money into the games and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, I 100% agree. Like we're not 15 anymore, we're not 16 anymore. I don't have the time to play The Witcher 3 for 150 hours anymore. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like it was a
Yeah.
great game, but I can't do it anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I totally agree with that too. I mean, obviously he's preaching to the choir with us, dude. Like
Yeah.
we've been talking about this shit on the pod forever now. It's like, so I just think I love hearing it from somebody like him though, who's been so ingrained in the industry for so long. It's just I don't know. I don't understand why companies don't understand this. Why are you taking 6 years to make a game that's 100 hours when you could take 4 years to make a game that's 50 or 60 hours? You know, it's like
Or even a game that's 2 or 3 years, that's like 20 hours, man.
20 or 30 hours, right? You
Yeah.
know, and I don't think, I will say part of this isn't necessarily on the publishers and developers per
Facts.
se
It's
entirely.
definitely our fault.
The fans are a big contributing factor into why the industry is like this right now, is that there's no room, there's not a lot of room for error. I think fans, while I've definitely said on this podcast before that we should have higher standards, that like these are products, you know, that we should expect games to be better for what they're asking us to pay for them, but at the same time, there is a little bit of impatience, I feel like, or that, or not impatience, but I guess like people aren't willing to let games have flaws, I guess, you know, is kind of my thing. That's why Stellar Blade was like such a like a nice game for me, because it's a short game, 30 hours.
It is a flawed masterpiece. I'll say that.
Yeah,
I think it's a flawed masterpiece.
it kind of harkens back to a time in gaming we don't have anymore, dude.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's a PS3 game. Like that's the way I kind of look at that game, you know, and I love it for it, you know. It's not trying to be something insane, dude. It is what it is, and that's an 8, and that's fine. You know, there's like, that's great, and it's like very comfortable in its own skin, I feel like, you know. And I feel like a lot of games are just trying to stretch to be more than they need to be, you know.
Yeah, I
Um
mean that's kind of why I had an issue with, like, Rise of the Ronin. I think it's just doing too much.
yeah.
It'll be a great straightforward game if we just applied that knowledge to it, but it
Mhm.
didn't. It wanted to do all this other stuff. So yeah, I agree. I think games just need to be more straightforward, cheaper, in my opinion. Um, which is
Yeah.
I think the biggest example of this, in my opinion, so far as mainstream, that everybody, but it would never get this criticism, is Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Yeah.
As amazing as I heard the story is after like chapter 4, and it just goes crazy. Um, I still hold remake to a high regard because it was so focused, and it was
Yeah.
30 hours max. You know,
Right.
if you wanted to stretch it to 50 hours, you could, but it was just such a focused game. Whereas with Rebirth, it just seemed like JRPG Assassin's Creed with the nodes and stuff like that, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, continuing on with his comments here. So, quote, we've made a lot about the visual quality of games, the graphics quality, the resolution, the near photorealism that so many games seem to chase, and our fans thought that was a noble journey. And we saw the difference between graphics on PlayStation 1, where Lara Croft is 800 polygons, and if you squint, kind of looks like a person. And now we get to the highly realized modeling. But did it improve the gameplay? Did it improve the story? I don't believe you can get across the uncanny valley. I think that will always be just 5 steps ahead. So instead of chasing that, let's go back to exciting game design. I love a good anime. I love highly realized animated characters. They're exciting because they can tell a different kind of story. The console war began as a missile race, with each side trying to push the edge of tech. People talked about teraflops all the time without really understanding what it meant. You had all these different kinds of metrics that people were throwing around. But we've got to the point now where you have advanced ray tracing, and most of the platforms can do 60 frames per second. Some can do 120, which your eye can't register anyway. I think we're at the edge of that universe now. We're in the realm of differences that only dogs can hear. And maybe that's not where the emphasis should be anymore. So let's go back to, what can I do that would be amusing, entertaining, and interactive, so that someone would want to spend their money and time and enjoy themselves in a way that means they get value for money, and we can continue to pay at least living wages or better to the people who make them. So I'm going to end there, end quote there. Anything you want to pull out from that section?
I mean, man, he's damn, just Shawn, you want to join our fucking podcast, bro? Like, what the fuck?
So this is why I take his comments. I think that's why we talk about these interviews, because I just think he's really good insight into what's going on, and I don't think he's mincing words with it. You know, yeah,
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's just weird that there's a lot of pushback towards the like. I guarantee if he was a tweet about the comments about the realistic graphics, a lot of people would push back towards that, and they'll give him one example: Red Dead Redemption 2. Oh,
yeah.
I got all that stuff with Red Dead Redemption. I got the good graphics. I got great storytelling, great character design, great. Blah, blah, blah. But that game also cost like $250 million to make, or some
More than
bullshit like
that,
that.
dude.
Yeah,
I think it was like $1 billion.
that was $1 billion game to make.
I don't know if it was that much, but Rockstar's game. I mean, dude, GTA 6 has over $1 billion
Yeah,
budget, and
yeah,
it also took like 8 years to fucking make. So
yeah, exactly. And it's like, I agree with him, man. Like, I have been just looking for, like we said, like Once It Did. It's not a great. It's like a 6 out of 10, bro. But I don't know. I just like the game for some reason. It's just like it's trying something new. You know,
yeah,
um, it does have the real quote unquote realistic graphics, but it's like I don't really care about that. I don't really care about like photorealism, ray tracing, 60. I do care about 60 frames, but like I don't really care about the teraflops and all that. Like, man, is the game fun? Even if it was at 30 frames, is the game fun? Can I play it? How long is it? You know, like
right.
these are things that like kind of I actually look for in gaming. And unfortunately, it was a symbiotic relationship where the fans wanted more realism because we're like, man, imagine this and this amount of things and all this other stuff, and then we end up getting games like the Order 1887,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
where it, where the I like the game, but if someone would tell me it didn't add anything of value, it didn't. Like no one talks about that game no more, and not even Sucker Punch themselves even talk about that game anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, um, I just 100% agree with them. I think uh all these technicalities and everything like that, the industry is way too involved. I just remember back in the day, and I sound like a fucking old ass man, but it's true. But like, it is, man. Like,
It's a bad day.
you remember you used to read Game Informer, and it was just about video games, man. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes they would
man.
talk about the products themselves, like the Genesis and
Yeah,
what it's doing and everything, but it
yeah.
wasn't going into detail how many teraflops are in the fucking Genesis or in the fucking PS1. It would show you like, oh, this can run 32 bits, and these are the games it can produce, and then you see all the cool games it can produce, and then it talks about those games. It talks about the creators and everything of that nature. And it's like
Mhm.
now it's such a fucking clusterfuck of fanboys and the industry like fucking each other with it. Like, my fucking Xbox is stronger than your PS5. Oh well, your Xbox doesn't have many games as my PS5, bro. Like, oh, and then your Switch, man, your Switch is just so fucking ass. It doesn't even. And it's like, what about the games though? Like, are the games fun?
Mhm.
And we just got away from the games being fun to where like we got microtransactions and everything. And oddly enough, I think that's why Fortnite is so successful because it
Mhm.
doesn't take itself seriously
Yeah.
and people are willing to put money into it. Hell, even League of Legends, Dota, these games aren't the best graphical games in the world. Like,
Definitely not.
they focus on the gameplay, and that's why people keep coming back to those games year
Well,
after
they're
year.
unique games. They have unique gameplay systems. I think this is the
Exactly.
the core of what he's saying is I think we're hitting a plateau on graphics, right? There's only so much further we can really go with it, I feel like. And maybe that's not true. That might be proven incorrect, but relatively speaking, it feels like diminishing returns right now to continue to
Yeah.
like try and push the graphical side of things. So where do you go from there? Well, then you should come back and focus now on more interesting gameplay systems, like different types of games that we can make. Because I think that is the one thing I will say about the game industry right now is that it feels really derivative right now. It's just we're not getting a lot of very interesting games. You
And
know,
I, and I
it's a lot
will,
of the same games being made over and over again with
yeah,
different coats of paint. You
and
know,
I will cut in and say like we're talking in terms of mainstream and double A. or
I think it's
AAA.
true even in indie too, though, dude.
I think we're getting a lot of different. Well, we're taking a long time to come out, but I think in the next couple of years, you're going to get some crazy indie games.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
like, let's take for example, dude. Let's take
there.
fucking,
I will say there was an era. Not to cut you off, but there was an era, a time where it was nothing but like pixelated 2D, all that stuff. And DJ had to explain to me that's all they can afford to make at the time. But now, since the engines are becoming a lot more affordable, a lot more indie developers can make different stuff. But I'm sorry, keep going. Nevertheless,
yeah. Well, so I was gonna no, actually needed to look up the developer. I forgot their name. The Hades developer, Supergiant.
yeah,
They've never made a sequel until now. They're making Hades 2. What does that tell you? That they feel like it's necessary to make a sequel. Like,
mm,
that they don't necessarily think another new IP is viable at this moment. And maybe that's not true. Maybe they decided that they had more to say with Hades and they wanted to make another game.
yeah,
But I do look at that as an example right now of kind of where the industry's at. It's like, I think I mean, I even look at my own game playing, my own playing. Like, I play mostly. I'm kind of within a strict kind of line of games that I play. I don't really go outside of that too much. I wish I could. Like, I wish I had more time to. I certainly would if I did have more time, but I think a lot of gamers are like that, and it's kind of creating this. It's creating a derivative space in the industry, because we also have the issue of, like you mentioned, Fortnite games like that. I mean, those are the games where all the money's being made. That's where all the time is. All the young kids are playing Fortnite, dude. That's where all their money's going. That's where all their time's going. They're not playing fucking Last of Us Part 2. They're not playing. They might be playing Spider-Man, but they're not playing like fucking Ghost of Tsushima or like Rise of the Ronin. They're not playing those games. So it's, I don't know. We're in an interesting spot right now, but I
yeah,
think we need the creativity to kind of come back, I guess.
yeah. I agree. I think it's a twofold thing. Like so like it really clicked in my head what you were saying, right? You said like I would like to try those games, I just don't have the time. And I think that's the biggest thing. I don't want the game to waste my time if I'm trying something new, right?
Yeah,
Like I would love to play Harvest games, love them. I actually do play a couple Harvest games,
yeah,
but it's like I had to actually like the thing about Harvest games is they respect your time because like you can go at your own pace, even if you forget where you come back, you can still go at your own pace.
hmm
But if I wanted to try like some random 2D platforming indie or whatever, or not indie, but random game or whatever, sometime like it will start out as one thing, and then I will open the door. I'm in another open world simulator. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I don't, I don't want to do this. Like, I would love to play other games, but sometimes those other games in the outside of my genre
yeah,
don't respect my time, which is why I love character action games because like
yeah.
they kind of
Right.
respect my time.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I've kind of been going. I've been trying to go out of my way this year to approach games a little differently too, and I've been playing stuff that I wouldn't typically play. Like, Prince of Persia is like a good example. I don't really play Metroidvanias, but I gave that game a shot, and it's one of my favorite games of the year.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like that, and then Against the Storm's another one, right? I don't play City Builders, but I'm playing that game, and it's one of my favorite games. Like, I've played in the last 6 months to a year. So it's like I am trying to get out of the comfort zone I've been in, and I think I'm more actively. That's why I'm really balking at games like Elden Ring, Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
I don't know
bro.
if I want to pay, dude. Let's just take Elden Ring as an example, right?
Hmm.
If I'm gonna play that game right now and the DLC that just came out,
Oh my god,
I'm probably looking at a 200-hour
300
investment.
hours, man. 300 hours.
Yeah, and how long do you think that will realistically take me with the full-time job I have and everything else that I'm doing in my
Maybe,
life?
maybe,
2
maybe
months?
6 months. I say six.
I think 2 or 3 months, dude. Realistically,
That's
I
if
would be
you.
playing Elden
That's if
Ring.
you streamline it. You're gonna
Yeah,
be weaving games in and out. I know you, so it's gonna take longer than
yeah.
that. You know.
And it's like, do I really want to commit to that anymore? No, I don't think I don't know if I really do. So if I'm going to play Elden Ring, I think I'm going to avoid playing it like a completionist. And I need to stop playing games like that because I think it's just I'm starting to find little not much value in it. Unless a game is truly special and like really hits me, I don't need to complete. I don't need to have that completionist mindset. It's just it's just against where I am in my life now, and I want to give indies more space, in my gaming palette. So, um, that's kind of what I've been trying to do this year, and I feel like I've been fairly successful. Like I played a lot of games this year, but to that point though, like Unicorn Overlord's like a good example. I ended up fully completing that game, and it took me over a month to get through that game.
Mhm.
And I didn't even really like the game that much, so
I
it's like that
remember.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. That kind of thing. I have to like stop doing that to myself.
Yeah. I think I have an unhealthy obsession, or not obsession, but like I would just like stop playing the game, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like I'll just like,
Right.
well, I don't feel like fucking playing this game anymore, and I I would just completely stop playing it. And
Mhm.
even if the game didn't do nothing to me, like it was a good run, I would just be like, I'm stop playing it. I don't want to play it
Yeah.
anymore. And
Yeah.
I think that's my thing. But but the games I play allow me to just come back in and just go go crazy in it, right where I left off at, or whatever the case may be. Um, the reason I'm like you said, Elden Ring, I said I'm not playing it this year. Like I just don't have it in me to die 20 billion times, man. Like I don't care, man. Like I played almost every From Software game. I've beaten almost every From Software game. Only one I haven't beaten was Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I just don't have it in me to do it anymore. Like I'm sorry,
Well,
you
I
know.
think where I want to put, I think those games, like, dude, like Elden Ring's a good example. If we ever stream, that's a great game for it. It's like I feel like that's a great stream game. It's not something I necessarily want to put too much of my personal time into, but
Yeah,
I'm saying that, and I was saying earlier in the episode, I am considering playing it, but it's like that is an example of the way I'm kind of thinking about things now. It's like I don't know, I don't want to have a game dominate a quarter of the year where I'm playing that one game the whole fucking time. I want to be able to play a diversity of games. Like I want to play. I'd love to beat like 20 games in a year. I don't remember the last time I've actually done that. And I don't think I'm going to get there necessarily this year, but I'm trying to play things a little bit differently to maybe get there at some point. So, but it's like you got to fit in short experiences in between the big games too. Sometimes it's like you go back and forth. But yeah, I don't know. It's difficult because my tastes have been the same for probably 10 to 15 years, and I'm sitting here talking about this like this is me kind of debating like, is it time for my taste to change? Like, do I need to do something different, like play different types of games?
I don't. So I think it's a yes and a no thing. I think I think we have to go, which is why I dip so hard into the indie space. For the type of games I like, I have to go to indies.
Yeah.
Like that's the only place that's doing it in double A's. That's the only place that's making like really quality beat 'em ups and really good
Hmm.
character action games and just shorter action games, or even like shooters that are very creative, um and different or whatever. Like, just like an arcade shooter or whatever. And like that's what I'm looking for when I play these games, and they give it to me. And they give it to me in a short package where I can enjoy it to 8 to 20 hours or whatever the case may be, and I'm done with it. And I want to thank you for playing the game. Um,
Hmm.
so I think it's just a combination. Like if you want to, even if you do like your JRPGs, your CRPGs, your WRPGs, I feel like you just have to look at it in different places. And I'm also glad that you are branching out and you're trying other stuff.
Yeah.
Um, And I mean, I'm trying to do that too. And I think that's what Shawn Layden is trying to get at, was where the industry has enough money to where everybody can be making. There can be how many teams inside like BioWare could be making smaller games, smaller great games.
Yeah.
Like three little mini Mass Effects, or mini fucking Dragon Ages, or mini other games that they have in their brains that are not even associated with that, or maybe totally different genres or whatever, that they just want to try out.
Yeah.
Like I even though we talk shit about it, penitence or whatever, right? From Oblivion,
Intimate. Yeah.
Pentiment, like. that was sitting in the back of somebody's brain. They just like, I really want to make this fucking game, bro. Like,
Yeah.
we really want to make this game. And they just did it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the team's big enough to where everyone can be doing that stuff. And you can, if you have enough games come out like that, like, why are there 300, 400 people working on one fucking game? You can have 100 people, you can have a 400 team, 400 people, and divide them up into 100 teams, and they all be making different games, and you can probably make the same profit back that you'll probably get from that one game if they're all making, because you everyone has like, you know, some type of thing or whatever. But I don't think the industry thinks like that anymore, man. They think like, you know, we gotta stick to what's safe. We gotta stick to, you know, the Mass Effects. We gotta stick to the Dragon Ages, man. We gotta do it, man. We gotta do.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want that many games out of a studio, right? Like 100 games, that's a lot. Most of them probably aren't going to be good. But like Naughty Dog is a good example, right? And Neil Druckmann, like, you know, The Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2 are excellent games, but man, that's all we've gotten out of them in 11 years, the last 11 years. Well, I guess we did get Uncharted 4, sorry. But you know, okay, still though, it's like if you take them, I guess let me put it this way. The last 8 years we've gotten one game out of them, you know, and it's like that is a situation I don't love. Like, what other things could Neil Druckmann come up with that are shorter, like a 3-hour game? Like, what would that look like from them? You know, like what kind of experience would that be? Like, what other genres could they explore? We don't even, like, we're never gonna know that because they keep chasing this like these huge AAA games, and I think that's a shame, dude. Like, 'cause some of these big designers, they end up only having a handful of games in their entire career that they make, you know, because they're taking so fucking long to make now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you can only make so many games that take 7 years to make, you know? It's like I mean, you're literally going to end up making 7 games maybe. Like, that would be like 49 years, you know?
Well,
that's insane.
You see their passion bleed through other stuff. Like, I feel like someone on Apex team, right, on Respawn was like, I really want to make a tabletop RPG. And the company was like, well, we're not funding this. And they had to literally go to fucking Kickstarter to get a tabletop fucking Apex game. That leads me to believe they really wanted to make something else, but they just don't have the time or investment to do it, you know? So I don't know. Like, I agree. Like, what other, like, Respawn could be cooking up other shit besides, you know, another Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor or Apex Legends or Titanfall.
They're a good example though. Like, they with Jedi Survivor, right? It took 4 years, I think, or 3 years.
Yep.
They didn't overstay their welcome with it. Like, they got it out. They got the game out, you know? And it's like, it was flawed. Like, it had issues at launch, but that's fine, dude. Like, it doesn't have to be fucking perfect.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. Like, I it's almost a good example of what we're talking about at the same time, and maybe being a bad example. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like they did both ends, you know?
Right.
Yeah, because you wouldn't even expect that from like Respawn, because all they made was first person shooters, and then here comes this third person action game. You know, that's in the Star Wars universe. So yeah, I mean, and like I said, there may be other studios out there that just want to try different shit, man. Like that's why I got so upset when people were mad at BioWare for turning a CRPG into an action RPG. Maybe they wanted to do that. Maybe that was their goal the entire time. Maybe that's what they envisioned Dragon Age to be. I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know. It's on one hand, like you said earlier, it's us. It is the developers and the publishers, like, pushing this narrative onto the developers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, but we also take a great responsibility in that. Like, it is our fault the way the industry is, because we speak with our wallets, you know?
Right. We set the trends by what we put our money towards.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right. Well, that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on in the interview. So it's definitely worth the read. It's on GameIndustry.biz. It's worth taking a look at if you want to hear more. All right, Montrell, our final story this week is Stellar Blade. We've been talking about this a little bit. They announced that the game has officially sold 1 million copies.
Nice.
And then they also announced there will be a sequel to the game, and they're also going to be doing DLC for the game. We're not sure what form that's going to take right now, but Stellar Blade has been very successful for Shift Up. Which, it is funny though, when I texted this to you, you know, this was the top selling game in April, and this just goes to show how, like, kind of weak of a month it ended up being, because this game didn't even sell 1 million copies in the month of April. You know, like, this is 2 months later. We're hearing about this now, so that should give you guys context on the Circana numbers. Sometimes is like take that into consideration. Is that doesn't necessarily always mean that the number one game, is like a massive fucking hit or anything like that. 1 million copies is great. This is a huge achievement for Shift Up for a new IP. But at the same time, in this modern industry, like 1 million copies is not really a lot in context of how much games cost to make. So yeah, but good stuff for Shift Up. Montrell, are you excited about a Stellar Blade sequel?
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do with the franchise, where they're going to take it. I actually think they're going to change a lot of stuff. I don't think it's going to be the same game as Stellar Blade 1.
I agree with you. I think a lot of the stuff you were talking about last week is I think it'll have a different feel. I think for sure, because there's a lot of directions they could take it. But I'm more interested in I kind of am interested in what they'll do with the story. Like, will Eve be the main character of the sequel? I don't know. That'll be interesting to find out. Right?
I can see her being a villain.
Me too. I could, yeah, for sure. Totally, with where they left the story, that definitely could happen. Because the DLC could play out the secret ending if that's the direction they go.
Mm-hmm.
It could play out the rest of that kind of arc, and then there's like a time skip maybe, and we'll see like what happens with society after that. So that's interesting, but yeah, good stuff. Anything else you want to say on Stellar Blade?
Nope.
All right. Well, that's it. Montreal, that's all we got for news this week. Anything else you want to talk about before we head out of here today?
Nope.
Cool. All right. A little bit shorter episode for us, which is good. We gotta throw these in every once in a while, right? All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get out of here. If you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show whenever feed you're listening to it on. And please subscribe to us on YouTube too. If you guys haven't checked us out on YouTube, we would really appreciate that. We do have the shows on YouTube now. We don't have video associated with them yet. Like, we're not on camera or anything like that, but they are on YouTube if you want to absorb them that way. And then if you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at Trap for the Hokage. That's the number 4, not the word, for Montrell. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that will be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. Bye.